Hello everybody and welcome to Edge Shed. Today I have got a PvP build for you. It is from the core game, so you'll be able to use it even if you're on a free-to-play account. This comes after somebody asked me the question, do I know any good core PvP builds during one of my live streams. If you'd like to check out my live streams, there's a link in the description of Twitch, but I also stream at the same time on YouTube, so please do like and subscribe in order to stay up to date with those and with any PvP build videos that I do, along with any other stuff that comes out on the channel. So let's get started. This build is a grenade build, which means that it focuses around the grenade kit. To start things off, we'll take a look at the specializations we've got, and then we'll dive into all of the skills down here. So to start things off, let us take a look at the specializations, and then we'll dive into all the skills down here and how best to use them. The first track that we've got is explosives. This will allow us to drop bombs whenever we dodge, which can be very handy. We've then got Grenadier, which will mean that our grenades travel faster. We also have reduced fall damage. Not that that's particularly useful in PvP. We will cause vulnerability on our explosives as well, and that will come from the steel packed powder. We get a bigger boon from our power, as we will gain vitality and ferocity based upon it. We will cause more damage to foes that have vulnerability on it, which synergizes nicely with this perk that causes vulnerability on our explosives. And then we will have orbital command. This is probably the one thing that I think in this track you could change should you want to, but basically it means that when you hit the 50% health threshold, you will call down a laser strike to damage the enemy. Next we've got Alchemy. To start off with, we've got Lesser Elixir B. This will grant us a load of boons when we hit the 75% health threshold. We've then got Invigorating Swiftness. This will grant us Vigour when we gain Swiftness. As we gain Swiftness from this and a few of our skills down here, this will synergize nicely with another skill that we've got in the Tools track that grants us some boons whenever we get Vigour. We've now got Lesser Elixir C, which will mean that when we get 2 conditions on us, they will be converted into 2 boons. We've got Elixir E, which will greatly increase our survivability by granting us barrier and protection when our health threshold hits 33%. We've got Compounding Chemicals, which means that when we heal ourselves, we will also grant ourselves boons. And we have got HGH. This means that our elixirs will have a shorter recharge time as well as a longer duration, and they will grant us might. Down here we've got tools. The first one will grant us Vigour whenever we use one of our utility belt skills. We've then got Lesser Utility Goggles. This means that when we get blinded or disabled, this will break us out of the blindness as well as break us out of any stuns. Can only be activated once every 90 seconds, but can be really useful, especially when the match first starts. We've then got Mechanized Deployment, which will reduce the recharge time on our utility belt skills, which is really useful. We then have Streamlined Kits. Now this will grant us swiftness whenever we swap to our kits, as well as creating a random attack or spell whenever we swap to it. We then have Excessive Energy, which will deal more damage when under the effect of Vigour. Now, as you've probably seen from a few of the other skills that we've got a lot of ways to gain Vigour, so we're hopefully going to always keep up that 10% damage boost, as well as the extra damage boost from the enemies having vulnerability. This will stack and will mean that we can do an awful lot more DPS, or at least that's the plan. We then have Adrenal Implant, which will increase our endurance regeneration, which means we can do more dodge rolls, which means that we can leave behind more bombs behind us. We'll now take a look at the equipment, and we've got our rifle to start with. This can be really useful for diving in quickly, but we'll cover the skills under there, but it's mainly a mobility piece. You won't be shooting people too much with it. The sigils we've got is the Sigil of Exploration, which means that we deal extra damage to targets below 50 health, and the Sigil of Energy, where we gain endurance when we swap to this weapon while in combat. It's got a 9-second cooldown, but it means that we can boost our endurance yet more, which stacks nicely or works nicely with the increased endurance regeneration that we've got. In runes and amulets, we've got the Rune of Divinity, which is going to boost all of our stats, and we have got the Demolisher amulet, which is power, precision, toughness and ferocity. We'll now take a look at the skills that we've got. So for our rifle, we've got the standard shooting, we've got a net that can cause some immobilization, we've got the blunderbuss, which is nice to do quite a bit of bleeding damage, but the two skills that are probably of most importance to the build are the overcharged shot and the jump shot. These will allow us to break out of conditions that impair our mobility, as well as get into fights a lot quicker. For the tool belt skills, we have got the Regenerating Mist, the Grenade Barrage, the Toss Elixir B, the Stealth Toss Elixir S, and the Toss Elixir X. So this Regenerating Mist is nice to grant Vigor and Regeneration. It's great to help out your teams when you're in the middle of a big team fight. The Grenade Barrage can really ruin somebody's day and can cause an awful lot of damage, especially when enemies are clumped together, so that's really great to use to finish people off, I found. The Toss Elixir B will help improve just your overall capability. As you can see, it gives you pretty much every boon under the sun, so that is nice to try and keep using. I'm pretty poor at remembering to use this one, but it's really useful, and if you wanted to get very good at this build, you really need to make sure that you've got that on cooldown, and preferably you're hitting your teammates with it as well, as they'll be grateful for that. We've then got Toss Elixir S. This is great to get you out of a tight spot, as it will grant you invisibility for a period, as well as adding quite a bit of might to yourself. Toss Elixir X is really great for ruining people's days, especially I have found Guardians and Thieves who have a lot of abilities that avoid them taking damage but actually have quite low health pools. So you use this and it will prevent them from using those abilities that keep them alive, and hopefully you and your team should be able to nuke them in that time and completely ruin their day. In the skills over here, we've got the Healing Turret to start with. I am not a big fan of Healing Turret. If I was playing this permanently, I'd probably swap it out to AED. That is because I like to play this quite aggressively. Healing Turret is probably more useful if you are going to be playing a bit more of a bunker type role and holding points. We'll come back to Grenade Kit. We've got Elixir B. You want to keep this on cooldown when you're in fights especially, and this will simply grant you a lot of boons that make you far more explosive. You've got Elixir X, or Elixir S, this can get you out of a tight spot, as it will make you invulnerable for 3 3/4 seconds, which is quite a long period of time and is great for just surviving that little bit longer to get your team to you. We've then got Elixir X, and this can be a bit of a wild card elite skill, as you could start rampaging, you could turn into a tornado. I think that it can be very good fun. It's really great to cause a lot of chaos, especially in the early sort of midpoint fight that tends to happen. You dive in with your 5 skill, you open up with that, and then, assuming you survive, which isn't always the case, whip out your grenades and start blowing people up. That is my preferred opening. On the note of grenades, we've obviously got the standard grenades. All of these will apply vulnerability. You want to pretty much keep all of these on cooldown. They don't have a long cast time, so just keep throwing everything you've got at people. That would be my recommendation. Just lots and lots of explosives. It's my general recommendation for most situations. So, hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully you've enjoyed some of the PvP that should be playing alongside it. Please do like and subscribe. Go and visit my Twitch channel. Please do follow it, and please please come back. I hope to see you again soon, and I hope you enjoyed the video. There'll be plenty more like these coming shortly. Thank you, and take care.